This is NLPS ED Talks, a podcast brought to you by Nanaimo Ladysmith Public Schools. I'm Dale Burgos, the Executive Director of Communications, and I'll be sharing conversations with students, staff, and friends of the district. We'll learn, we'll laugh, we may cry, but most importantly, we'll share the unique stories of individuals that work and play in our school system. Nanaimo Ladysmith Public Schools is one of many school districts in British Columbia, Canada, and is centrally located in one of the most beautiful places in the world, Vancouver Island. Thanks for joining us. It's our first podcast for the 2020-21 school year. We're very excited. 2020 has been an exciting year, I think, to say the least. I've got my first podcast interviewee here in the podcast booth. So we've dusted all the microphones and the soundboards off, and we're doing it once again. I'm very excited. That seems to be one of my favorite words. I go back and listen to all the podcasts, and excited is always one of the words I like to use. And I'm very excited because in our podcast booth here today is our new Secretary-Treasurer, Mark Walsh. Welcome.
Well, thank you very much, Dale. And I think you forgot to mention you've also sanitized all the equipment that we're using today as well, because it is 2020 after all.
So fitting that you mentioned that. That's right. Well, it was sanitized earlier today. The table was. You walk in with your mask on. I had my mask on earlier too, but we're a safe distance away right now, more than 6 feet. I think that we don't need our mask. Plus, it would sound, I think, silly talking into the microphones with a mask on. Maybe.
We will go without. We are meeting all of our requirements from the health authority right now.
Yes, exactly. I guess if I need some funding to maybe get some plexiglass in here, you're the right person to talk to.
I think that may be the case.
I love it. Okay. Well, Mark, welcome. You've been around now in the district as our Secretary-Treasurer for a few months. When did you officially start with the district?
I've actually started in mid-April of this year, if you can believe it. And this is my second full week in office. Right, yes, because we were all working from home right from spring break, right? That was, I think, was it March? Oh, gosh, I can't even remember. March 13th, maybe it might have been the last day before spring break. And then we didn't come back in. And then you came on, and then I didn't actually officially meet you in person until I think maybe late August, when we slowly started coming back into the office. Oh, no, before that, I think I might have met you. But interesting, right? And I guess it was out of necessity for you, too, because you're not from Nanaimo. No, I'm actually from Victoria, so from Lekwungen Traditional Territory in Victoria, and was born and actually raised in Victoria. And so this is my second week living here in beautiful Nanaimo, and boy, has it been exceeding expectations.
That's what I like to hear. I'm glad that, first off, very glad that you're here. Very impressed with everything that you've already brought to the table in your few short months that you've been here. Very excited to be working with you in the future. I'm sure you're excited that there's no traffic here compared to Victoria, right?
Well, actually, there isn't that much traffic here. It is
there
pretty
really
good.
Is not. Yeah, I mean, you don't live very far away from me, and I mean, growing up, I'm from Manitoba, Winnipeg. There's, I think, last time I checked was about 700,000-800,000 people. Got used to traffic, right? A little bit more than Victoria. Victoria is what, around 400,000
approximately
in between there.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I got used to the traffic and the commute. But here, it's funny when summer comes around and the ferry traffic lets out around the Departure Bay area. That's probably the worst traffic that I've experienced here in Nanaimo. And really, it's a delay of maybe a minute or two, and then that's it.
Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, exactly. Now, it was a good segue. Earlier, you mentioned you're from Victoria, born and raised. Whereabouts in Victoria?
So I went to, for those from Victoria that know Victoria, I went to elementary school at Vic West Elementary, and then I went to high school at Esquimalt High, and family, we moved to Vancouver for a little bit. I'm a lawyer by trade, and I did my articles and worked a brief time in Vancouver at a law firm there before joining the Greater Victoria School District, working in their HR department as counsel and labor relations manager for a time.
Lovely. Okay, so let's start a little bit further back. So you were in Vancouver, but of course you went to, where did you go for to get your where did you go to?
Yeah, so I did my undergraduate and my law degree both at UVic.
Fabulous.
Great program.
Of course. Yes, no kidding. UVic, great school. We get a lot of people from UVic that come and work for us here, so that's good. So when you say articling, what for somebody who doesn't know, what does that mean as a lawyer?
Oh, it's like your pre-call to the bar practicum. So you're working with the lawyers, you're doing legal work, but you're not officially a lawyer. You haven't taken the bar exam, and then you have to do that in order to become a lawyer. And then once that's done and your bar exam's passed, you are now officially a lawyer, assuming you pass.
Assuming you pass, of course.
Yes.
Yeah. How long do you have to do that for?
It's 12 months.
Okay.
So you go to law school, you go to your undergraduate for 4 years, you go to your law school for 3, and then you article for another 12 months.
Wow. Okay. Excellent. Okay. And you mentioned we, so you have a significant other.
Yeah. So my wife is here with me, and she's actually a teacher here for the school district.
Lovely.
She gave up her continuing position in the school district to come here and work school to school until she can get a full-time position. And good. We've got 3 children, all in the public school system here in Nanaimo Ladysmith Public Schools. And so 2 are going to Wellington and 1 is at Departure Bay.
Lovely. I like that. That's my thing. When I first came on, I told them that I would have 3 kids coming into the system. I feel like that was my way of getting this job because I was bringing 3 kids.
As a secretary-treasurer, every time you see someone with children or someone that's pregnant, you do see dollar signs.
Nice. So funny.
Enrollment is a good thing.
Enrollment is a great thing, and I mean it just keeps going up, and we are we're up to just over 15,000 now.
Yes, and so it's a blessing and a challenge as well to make sure that we can fit all those students.
Exactly that. So, I never got to ask you, growing up in Victoria, so grade 1, Dale, my apologies to Miss Lyons. I was not a great student. I remember my mom telling me that I almost didn't pass grade 1 because I just did not pay attention. How was Mark as a little guy?
Mark as a little guy was the exact opposite. I had the citizenship awards, and if a teacher had a pet, I would have been that pet, at least in elementary school.
I love it. Yeah. That's fabulous. And you have a little bit of history. Now, you mentioned, of course, right out of, after passing the bar, practice as a lawyer, I'm assuming, for a little bit?
Yeah, so my passion has always been labor, employment law, and particularly education. And so my intention was always to be an education lawyer. And I know lawyers sometimes make up specialty areas because it makes you sound like you really know about an area. It's true. And education is actually incredibly complex. From WorkSafe to human rights to governance to all kinds of different issues come at you. And so I was always inspired by seeing some of the lawyers that worked with Greater Victoria School District when I was there in a different capacity, and made me go to law school with the full intention of being an education lawyer, which I became.
Wow. Okay. Excellent. And then, looking at your history here, you shared some points with me earlier. And not just as a lawyer, but you've had some connections with education in the past, other than, of course, being a student.
Well, yeah. So when I was the youngest school trustee for the Greater Victoria School District, at the age of 22, I believe.
Okay.
And thankfully probably wasn't as good at it. Well, I will have to say seeing our trustees at work, I just couldn't imagine doing that again. The work they do, it's thankless, and it's amazing the amount of hours they put into it. And again, I enjoyed my time, but definitely prefer serving the board than being the board.
Okay. Well, shout out to the trustees, and there you go, across the province. So you did that for a number of years.
Yes.
Right. And I guess you were doing that while you were going to school, or you had done you've already passed the bar at that point.
I was a banker for a little while, and then went back to law school in order to pursue that. Actually, again, after being a trustee and seeing the lawyers that actually worked for the school district. And it's funny, I'll tell you a little anecdote that I lecture to the graduating teachers at UVic every semester, and I always tell them this story, and it's a true story. But so I sat down with the superintendent and board chair of the day and said, thinking about my future, what should I do? I was pretty young at the time, and I said, I really want to be a principal someday. I think that that seems like the most important job there is, but I also kind of wanted to be a lawyer. And so the board chair at the time, who was a lawyer, said, "Oh yeah, go to education, do education. That's great." And the superintendent, who's obviously a teacher, said, "No, go be a lawyer." I thought, "Oh, that's weird. Why would you say that?" And he said, "Well, because teachers never get a down day." And so I took that to mean either I had a lot of down days or alternatively, and it's true, is that teaching is such a noble profession and that every single interaction you have with a student can impact their future. And that's a lot of pressure.
No kidding.
And again, it takes a lot of skill. And so I chose law so I could be connected with education and probably pursue something that I'm a little bit my skill set strategically is a little bit more aligned in that direction.
Okay, well, thanks for sharing that. And I have to admit, when I first heard that you were coming on, and I was given your background because we have to put together an announcement, I went, he's a lawyer, okay, and he was a secretary-treasurer at another district in the province. We're going, okay, that's interesting. That's something different, right? And then now you mentioned that you were a banker at one point as well, so there's a little bit of financial history. So it's not common, maybe, I'm not sure, but to have a lawyer, but then also transition into becoming a secretary-treasurer, working for the public system. So, explain some of that. I mean, you shared some of it already, but it's interesting.
Yeah, so what I would say is that the secretary-treasurer is head of finance and operations, governance, and legal, and there to support the board and, more importantly, support the superintendent as well. Mm-hmm. But it's kind of the chief strategic officer in a way, right? And so as a labor relations manager and running HR for a brief period of time in Victoria as well, you're involved in so many decisions. And from a secretary-treasurer perspective, it made a lot of sense. As school districts are growing, you need to have that relationship skills to make partners in the community. Mm-hmm. You need to be able to see 1 year in advance, 3 years in advance, 10 years in advance, because, our communities are growing and kids are coming back, and we're going to need more schools and those types of things. So you need to be able to put those things together strategically. So it just really fit to have that opportunity in Victoria. Mm-hmm. And as my skill set also matched at that time the team down there. And then of course I looked in Nanaimo. I did my research, did my spying to see who was here, and there's such a strong financial service team in Nanaimo, as well as such a strong senior leadership team as well, that I knew I would come here with the backing to do the technical aspects of the job, but also to come here and work for folks with such a vision that I knew that my strategic background would be able to help as well. And our superintendents say, comes with quite a positive reputation province-wide, and that was what a nice opportunity to come work with him.
Nice. And it's not just about his singing. I mean, it's about his leadership as well.
I only heard about the singing after I got here.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay. Well, clearly we didn't reach everyone, but there you go. Yeah. Thank you for sharing exactly at a high level, what a secretary-treasurer does, because not many people would know all of those different aspects of the job and the people that would report to you or the departments that are involved in running a school district. So thank you for that. Yeah, I appreciate that. So I think it's going to be a really nice segue into let's look to the future now. Now that you're in this chair, and you're essentially our number two. I mean, if somebody wants to say you're like our CFO or COO, and our superintendent would be our CEO, right? That sort of thing. That's essentially my feeling of it and what a lot of people have said in the past. So let's look to the future now. Some immediate actions or some things that you'd like to see happen here in the district.
Yeah, so I would say, again, the state of finances for this school district is on very, very solid ground. We have a strong team with strong controls, so the public can have a lot of confidence that the money is being spent properly.
Right.
And so in that area, we want to support some policy updates to make sure our policy book to support our board and our administrative procedures are up to date, and we're following them in every way. And where we're not, we're changing them to adapt to modern circumstances. The big one, I think, and the big one the public will probably understand, is that we do need to be prepared for growth, and we do have now the largest seismic program in the province, and I want to be there to support our facilities team in being there to get that program going. It's 20 years long, I'm sure. There's going to be hundreds of millions of dollars flowing to this school district to make sure our schools are safe, which is an awesome opportunity to work with the city of Nanaimo, with Ladysmith, with the RDN, with Snuneymuxw, with our various partners to do some really interesting things with schools as we upgrade them, and so really exciting there. I'm really excited to see our in-house forces, get that skill set, so we're able to have all those teams inside. So we can design and install our own fields. We can design. Right now we're building portables, which are not called portables, by the way, but we're building daycare units with our own forces, and so we're going to have those skills in-house that are going to allow us to serve kids in the long term and push our dollars just a little bit further. And so when you do it in-house, particularly when you have the skill set, you can get a bit more bang for the buck. You can add that little extra that's going to make the building last a bit longer or make the building more, a better learning environment. And so really excited for that aspect of it as well.
Nice. I like that. We do have a lot of great people that work here, and I'll applaud them all because I've met many of them, and sadly not all of them. I don't get out of my office enough, but we do have a lot of great people and good resources here. A big part of your job is working with the board as well. Mm-hmm. And what are your thoughts, and how do you feel that you are, how crucial are you in that relationship with the board?
Well, important. I'm not sure crucial, but important. And I will say that's another reason that Nanaimo and Ladysmith attracted me as well, is that the board also has a very positive reputation. I've already seen their ability to make decisions, tough and easy, respectful disagreement, but always respectful. It's a way that, as staff, you want to be working with people that are guiding the system like that.
For sure. And
I'm just blown away by this board's commitment to reconciliation and to our hiatus framework, and excited to be a part of that. And to be honest, a lot of learning to do on my part,
right.
But really excited to learn. And so I really value if the board looks at me as an important resource for them, obviously backing up our superintendent as we go along. But so far it's been great.
I like that. And you did mention Snuneymuxw before, and we have Snanawas, we have Stamanis, we've got Midal and Métis, Tilikum Lelam. That's a really big piece of the relationship building, of course, with the Secretary-Treasurer, and then also as a superintendent. We look at those relationships, and it's unfortunate right now because we don't get to meet them face-to-face. But if you wanted to maybe share a little bit more, you mentioned hiatus, and by the way, congratulations, because you did pronounce it correctly. What other pieces do you have that maybe you can share for our Indigenous partners, and maybe some of the outlook you have?
Well, number one, the opportunity to get to know everyone, like you said, is important. I have had the opportunity to meet some of the folks.
Oh, good.
So that that's great. To see CQQS in action is so impressive, and to see that relationship with Snuneymuxw and the school district, running that school together the way that it's working, the opportunity to expand childcare opportunities for our First Nations partners, and we're looking to do that at QQS, which is great. And it's really interesting because wherever we're doing something in the jurisdiction of our nations, or alternatively with our local partners, the Métis, etc. They're the first thought, and it's so impressive to see a school district and everyone that I've worked with. That's the first thought: is have we spoken with them? How can we make them a part of what we're doing? Do we need permission to do what we're doing?
Yep.
And it's kind of a chain, not. It's a mindset that I'm trying to ingrain in myself, and certainly in previous experiences that was the attempt. But it's so strong and ingrained in the culture here, and it's something to be very proud of for the school district.
I'm with you on that one. I've had the fortunate experiences to have met many of our knowledge keepers and learning from them. And I call Joan Brown, the CAO for Snuneymuxw, I call her Auntie Joan. She's I feel like we've been fully accepted as a district, but even as an individual, and getting to meet them and hear the stories, it's definitely something that I've valued in my time here. let's go back a little bit here. You mentioned something about the large seismic program that we have. I mean, that essentially what that means is we've got a large number of our schools. The majority of our schools are looking at some sort of seismic upgrade or some sort of work to get to where we need to be seismically. Facilities in the district, just in general, right? We're embarking on a long-range facilities plan. Is there anything you want to share about that right now?
Yeah, well, I would say we know that everyone in Nanaimo is listening to this podcast right now, and Ladysmith as well. And so really important to keep an eye out and have feedback. And we've actually got some feedback on the direction that people would like the school district to go. You can see a real commitment to, education that's tied with ecology and the environment. And so there's some thinking to do there. Mm-hmm. But as we do get our long-range facilities plan together, it's not just it's not just seismic, but it's also growth. So, we're working hand in glove with our partners. We've had meetings with Ladysmith, with Nanaimo, with RDN so far to talk about, where might we need schools in the future. Mm-hmm. And so we've got a plan for a capital plan put to the Ministry of Education with at least 4 schools that we already know need expansion. And if you're a parent of Departure Bay, like I am, and if you're a parent at some of our schools that have lots of portables on them and you're feeling a little bit of the pinch, particularly trying to social distance right now, it's a great opportunity to expansion and seismic are actually going to be kind of the joint partners for the next 20 years. And I also want to say that the Ministry of Education capital team, as well as their financial team we work with, but the capital team particularly, are incredibly responsive, and it's great to see a good relationship between the district and those guys.
I'm glad you mentioned a lot of the pieces that you did on this podcast, because those are what we're hearing from the community. The community's talking about overcrowding in schools and different things. And so there's a lot of comments that you made today here on the podcast that I think will address what we're hearing from the community. So thank you for sharing that. I think we've covered a lot of really big pieces. We could have probably talked on this forever, and maybe 20 minutes is probably where we should stop. But now that we've got all that aside, I appreciate you sharing all this really good information. We can have you back again for another update. Let's talk a little more on the personal side now that you're here in Nanaimo. What are your experiences? I mean, it's only been a few days. I know you only moved here just early September, but have you heard any good trails, or what do you do? Like, what do you like to do for fun, or when you're out of the office? And I know you're always in the office, but when you get out of here, what do you like to do?
Well, I have to say, moving from Victoria to Nanaimo, we were able to get we're very happy with our home and backing on to, a forest. And so literally I've been running in a forest a couple of days a week. So that's been pretty great. I will say though, please follow me on Twitter at Mark V. Walsh and send me your restaurant recommendations, because I really do. I really do want to get to know the community and be a real part of it and get to explore local businesses and areas. So please, if you follow me, you'll see a lot of dad joke kind of humor. Yeah. But
I love that.
But definitely, I want to tell me where to go.
Okay, I think that was our first Twitter shout out. Somebody sharing their Twitter account with everyone out here. I like that. So Mark V. Walsh, that's at Mark V. Walsh on Twitter. Probably some good restaurant ideas. My favorite, I like Asteras. Greek, if you like Greek food, Asteras is great. Good. They're a constant winner here. Maybe, I don't know. I'll look to my team over here. Shauna,
I've been to Kebab.
Kebab. Oh yeah, you've been there.
That's.
I don't know. Tiffany, Shauna, do you two have any restaurant? Say that again.
Pong Lang.
Where's that? Now I need to try this. Oh yes. Okay, so I have been there. Yeah, right. Good Vietnamese food, right? Okay, Tiffany, anything from you? Stella's. Yeah, also really good. Yeah, see, there you go. So you got some ideas now.
Got my weekends covered.
Yeah, no kidding, right? Well, there you go. Thanks, team, by the way. I appreciate that. Okay, Mark, well, we'll let you go, but I appreciate you coming on to the NLPS ED Talks. Have yourself a great day.